We don't need no countdown.
The clip. I love that. I love that. Y'all, you missed Adam
your
dancing.
Energy up. Makes me happy, that song.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you like it. Jeff wrote it for me, so I was super happy about that.
The first time I heard it, I didn't know Jeff had made it, but I heard the voice. I was like, ZL, and I'm like, I know that voice. I did.
You did. There you go. So yeah, hey everyone. We're talking today about our RPG game. Adam has been so kind as to help me out today. Crush corn. Yep. L. Yes. Now we need like the pig emoji. Yeah.
Oh, how come I can't type into that?
No, it's
private chat. Weak.
Yeah, you can go into Twitch and it'll.
There it is. Woo!
There it is. That's my pig squeal noise. But yeah, Adam's in the studio today. He's helping me out with React. After yesterday with Corbin, and Corbin's chilling out in chat here. Thank you, Corbin, for providing us with some sweet comments. So I went into the code base a little bit and I wrote out a controller. I don't know. It works all right, but it does this really janky thing that I'll try to explain. But if we go to the game over here, there's the.
I like that.
Yeah, we should just keep that in there. There we go.
I look so swarthy and
especially compared to me. I just look like a.
It's the contrast, we're like a team. I'm like the guy who's going to be played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and you're like his friend.
I know. I'm Kevin Hart. There we go. Yes, Jeff. Sorry you missed it. I don't know. I've been playing it at the end, but it's super awkward when I have a guest because we usually like to talk afterwards, and so we have this like 30 seconds of break. So I don't know if I'll do it at the end, but
you do it at the
check
end.
It out on YouTube, Jeff. So
I mean, chances are my internet will cut out and my computer will break down anyway, and so you'll be alone at the end of it.
If you cut out, we'll go right to the song. You just walk outside and say hi to Cheddar. Yeah, Jeff alone has that exclusive right. Anyways,
all right. The people didn't come here for my swarthy looks.
Sure they did. Sure
they came here for code.
Yeah. So we were the first iteration of this, we were using window prompts to get like some weirdly janky stuff saying, what's the idea of the move you want to use? What's the idea of your target? We're moving along slowly. Now we have buttons for whoever's move it is. Actually, the UI doesn't do a great job of telling you whose move it is, but maybe we can fix that. But we can select a move and then we can select a target and things happen. So Corbin got some energy. I lost some health. He tackled me. We're all good. This is kind of working as intended. It's coming along. Let's take a look at the controller because I built a React controller interface that extends our controller. If we look at our controller, this is all the things we need from a controller. It just needs to know which units to activate itself for and some function that's going to return a promise of like a move ID and some targets.
So what does like a controller represent in this sense? Like, is it like a video game controller, or is it like some sort of a?
Not quite. It's more of a like. So right now the user is the only controller. Somewhere down the line, hopefully pretty soon, we'll want like something like a CPU controller. So this would be like a computer player would be coming in and making some choices there. So if you're fighting against like computer bad guy or an NPC, we'd have like an NPC controller for them. So,
but there's essentially the idea is that there's this controller and it's got some methods on it, and I'm going to ask the controller, what do you want to do? And if it's a human, they'll use the interface to say what they want to do, and if it's whatever, they'll call methods or something. But either way, I'm going to end up with the same interface of give me, what do you want to do? Give me an answer.
Yes. At the end of the day, it needs some way of letting us know what was what did this unit do? what should this unit do? And for when it's a human, we have I switched files there. When it's a human, we have to go through, and they'll have to select a unit. That's one, and then they'll have to select a move. That's two. And I've got this thing here that I really don't like, but it's to make things work. And hopefully we'll fix this. But it's to set a re-render function. So pretty much, if we go,
that doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good. No, I don't much care for it. But we'll hopefully we'll figure it out.
Cool.
But so pretty much we're saying when the engine passes control off to the controller. So when it says, okay, it's your turn, tell me what you want to do. The controller is going to set its state to select move first, and that's going to re-render because the UI is going to need to know what state the controller's in. Mm-hmm. Then we'll wait until we get something from that selected moves, and then we'll call next on the controller state to set us into, well, now we're in the select unit state, and then we'll re-render again, and then we'll do that whole song and dance again. So when I click the button, when I click that move button, that's what I was waiting for here. When I click the actual unit component, that's what I was waiting for here, and that's how the flow went. The reason I have to call re-render, I kind of explained it. I guess React needs to know to call the set app component state to let it know that things have updated. And I've got to do this weird, order really, really matters. It's super important right now in the way I declare these. Because first I've got to create my controller. Then I've got to do the battle engine, because the battle engine will need to know about the controller when it gets constructed. And then I'll need to set my use state hook. And that'll need both of those. And after all that's done, I'll finally have access or scope to the set app component state method or function, which is what I'll need to call, which is what I'll need to set inside of my controller. So yeah, I don't like it, Adam. How do I fix it?
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be honest. Okay. But I mean, maybe we should take a minute to, yay for real observables. Maybe we should take a minute to think about what we want it to really be doing. Because, okay, so the idea of a React component is that a React component is going to synchronously describe, so especially a functional component, that's all I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about class components. A React component is going to synchronously describe what the UI should look like based on the current state and props. And you could just say state combined with props.
Okay. So
state, whenever state changes, it's then going to recall those functions to describe it again. And anything outside of that needs to be outside of that. And I wonder if we're doing too much inside of that, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I think that makes sense. Am I breaking up, or is Adam?
Yeah, good question. Am I breaking up? You kind of broke up for a while there, but I don't know if I was breaking up or if you were breaking up.
Okay. I think we could hear each other pretty well right now. But yeah, so the state, when you say state, what you mean is this use state. Is that?
And exactly. And so the component state, as opposed to and that includes data. It's the component's current data that is considered the state, right? Not just a string that represents the state necessarily, but just whatever this component state is, the combination of its props and state. But we don't have any props right now.
Well, I almost wonder, and this may just be right now we're all inside this app component, which is, I'm guessing this is what gets bootstrapped in here. I actually haven't looked at the HTML. Is there?
Yeah. So if you look in that other file, what's basically going to happen is it's going to find that root and it's going to call render on this, and it's going to pass it what element am I going to render it on, and then the app is in there. Yeah.
That makes sense. I'm almost wondering if we need like so this is like the app component. I wonder if we need like a battle component, because that's really what I'm trying to build here.
Yeah, and I think you definitely do want one. I don't know if you need to break it out quite yet. Like when you've got it working how you want it, then you definitely want to have like a battle component. But no need to go on to that until you've got kind of what you're working on.
Okay. So that's not part of the issue.
So yeah, no. So I think what we need to figure out here. Goodbye, Brandon.
Not Brandon.
I am not Brandon, but I will say goodbye.
Thanks to everyone, by the way. I did say hi to Josh. Josh, hi. Thanks for coming by, man. And Nicole, you're awesome. Nicole's coming on next week, so I'm super excited for that. We're going to do one with Ben, too. So thanks everyone for coming by.
I missed all the breaking up puns before, but now I'm reading them. Hi. Breaking up.
He already has a talk around, find root DOM and load stuff. Nice.
Find root DOM, load stuff. Anyway, so what I'm thinking is like, what we really want to figure out is, okay, what is the state that this component needs? And it's like, right now we've decided it's a combination of the battle engine and the controller state, I guess.
Yes, that's, I think, I have like this app component state interface I've written, and I think, I don't know if I'm using it right. That's the other piece of it. But
so what I would want to do is I would want to make a state that I can subscribe to and actions that I can call, or a dispatch or something. There's like there's a built-in React hook, which is like use reducer, and it basically gives you a state and then a dispatch function, and then it goes through a reducer to give you new state. I would think in terms of that. So we want to have like the battle state, but we want to be able to observe it. So we basically don't want to worry about like changing it and then re-rendering. We basically just want to say, whenever this state changes, let me know. I'll subscribe to that, and then we'll do something.
It's kind of like putting the horse in front of the cart. We don't want to change and then re-render. We want to change something, let that be observed by a React hook, I'm guessing, and then React will know I need to re-render. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And so use effect is going to be our help here, because we're basically saying this isn't part of the synchronous React thing, because React is about rendering synchronously this current state of the object. This is outside of that. Async is a good hint that it probably is a side effect. And so our subscription to the state is going to be a side effect, and we're going to update the component state based on that. We're going to sync the component state with the outside state, which in this case will be the battle. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yes.
And then, another thing, like right now, I think we have an asynchronous command. So we're going to say like, do something, and then it like waits for a promise inside that and then changes the state or something. I think we want to get away from that too. We want to just sort of say, do something, and let that go out of the, like, into the battle. And if there's battle, the waiting that needs to be done sort of happens outside the component. And then whenever that state changes, that's just when we're going to re-render.
Okay.
That's the plan. Let's do it.
All right.
So the first thing we need to do is figure out how to make our engine and perhaps our controller. I'm not sure actually if we need.
We will need the controller will have its controller state that we'll need to kind of observe too. So it's kind of like the battle is going to be moving from like really from the user's perspective, like from one snapshot to the next. That's the engine is meant to be immutable, so that will be pretty easy to go.
Do you want to try something crazy that might not work? It might not work, but it might just be so funny it might work.
That's
all right. You've got re-render there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's from create React controller, let's add a property, which is a method to this returned object that you're returning with all the stuff on it, and call it subscribe, just for fun. This isn't going to be our final code. This is going to be a fun learning experiment.
So and subscribe will take a function.
Yeah.
That's going to be a void function.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll say subscribe returns a function that is also a void function. Get where I'm going with this?
I think so.
Yeah, you get it.
That's a lot of arrows right there. It's weird, man. I'm pretty sure like a few years ago, I would have been like, what the crap is this? And now like, I'm like, this makes perfect sense.
You're like, that makes sense. Make it optional too, just to make those squiggles go away.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I like my squigglies, man. It's telling me
All
I
right,
don't have it
well,
subscribed yet.
That's cool. Fine. I was just gonna. It doesn't matter. I figure we're gonna get rid of it anyway. Okay. So now let's make a subscribe method,
Mm-hmm.
and on it, let's set re-render to whatever we just gave it.
Okay. So
You pick up what I'm putting down.
I think so.
So it'll be a method. You don't even have to do an arrow function, but you can.
Yeah. Subscribe function. Call the function. Re-render. So we can just kind of shorthand.
No. Don't do that.
Oh.
I want you to assign the variable re-render to the function passed in.
Oh, to the function passed in.
Yeah. So re-render equals.
Yeah. Fn equals re-render.
No. Re-render equals fn. Yeah. And now we're not done with this subscribe function. We got to do another line because now we got to return something.
Yeah. Okay.
And so what I'm faking here is like sort of an RX-y kind of thing. So now let's return a cleanup function. So in our cleanup function, this is like poor man's RX. There's nothing whatever about this observable we've created, but let's just turn re-render to like either back to what it was, like a void no, or yeah, that's probably the best thing. Just like a no op.
Okay.
So return a function, return. And in that function, set re-render to a no op.
Okay. So inside of here, re-render equals no op.
Don't tell Ben Lesh. Nobody tell Ben Lesh. He's rolling over in his bed because he's still alive. All right. So this is our poor man only takes one subscriber at a time observable.
Yeah.
For no fun.
Maybe I'm not following you. Where are we going to be calling this subscribe? Maybe that's where you're going next. Sorry.
Yeah, that's where I'm going next. So this is what I think, and maybe this is going to like fail utterly because I didn't think this through, but it's okay. So now we've got this thing. You're creating these refs. Okay, that's fine. Now we're going to use effect. So under the use state, let's do a use effect.
Okay, so under this use state, we're gonna call. Now I have no idea what the API looks like for this, so you might have to.
Okay, so now use effect. Yeah, call. It takes a function that returns nothing, like a void, and in that function, you want to do whatever you want to do. In this case, we're going to subscribe to something. In this case, we're going to subscribe to whatever. And then you want to return a cleanup function. So that's what sort of use effect is for.
Okay. So
before we forget, and actually, just keep going. No, just keep going.
Okay.
I won't forget. There's a second parameter that we have to do, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I won't forget.
All right. So we're going to call subscribe.
Yeah. And now we want to pass.
That app state? Is that where we're going with this?
Well, I mean, if it was going to give us the app state, but it's not going to right now, right? Like we're not doing anything in that subscribe function. So what we're going to have to do is just set the app state, kind of like you are down below. So actually, line 192 can go in this subscribe function. So subscribe will take a function that actually it's exactly the same. So what you did to set render function.
Yeah.
In fact, set render function I didn't know exists is exactly this subscribe, isn't it?
It's pretty much is. Well,
why did I didn't realize it already existed. Holy crap, that's hilarious. It's literally right above it. The only thing it doesn't have is the cleanup.
Well,
so
okay,
I wasn't paying attention.
It was set render function is here just to set this render function.
Yeah.
Is that what we were doing? Okay.
That's what we're doing.
Okay. But
the only thing I added was
we're trying to move away from this.
That's hilarious. All right, no. That's why I said it's not as bad as I thought it was, but I didn't.
Well, okay, but I had no idea about the use effect.
Yeah, exactly. And I had no idea about set render function existing because I wasn't paying attention.
Well, why would I want to return this? Is it so this is to clean up?
That's to clean up. So one of the major things you're going to run into, even right now with the code that you've already got, if you were to say set the state, if you were to say like churn, and it does something asynchronously and takes more than a moment of time, like more than a synchronous moment of time.
Yeah.
And then you were to unmount that component for whatever reason, like, oh, they clicked away, they changed something, unmounted that component. You're now going to call set state on a component that no longer is mounted, and you're going to get an error. And it's going to be like, oh, this is not good. So what the idea is, you want to set something up that says, hey, I've, for whatever reason, and there's multiple reasons, but for whatever reason, I don't want this to like trigger anymore. Don't unsubscribe me from this because I'm done listening or whatever. And that's what we're going to do here.
Okay, so when we call this use effect, we are subscribing to this, but then we're cleaning up our re-renders. So if we call re-render afterwards, it won't be like WTF.
Exactly. Okay. It won't be like, and if you were to call it like when the component was off the screen.
Yeah.
And so this will give us like a cleaner sort of thing. So now we need to grab the return value of that function, because it's our cleanup, and then we need to return it for use effect. So when we subscribe, we're going to get a unsubscribe function.
Okay, so
and if we're eventually going to change this into a and then you can just return. You could just return, but you can also just return unsubscribe too. Just to be more explicit.
I see. We're going to return that. So how does that get used in like the use effect hook? So
the way use effect works is, and this is actually really important. Yeah, and I won't forget. I said 3 times. I won't forget. Actually, let's add it in now, and then I'll explain what use effect is. So just right now, I'm going to explain it. That's all. Just do that for now. Okay, so what use effect does is basically, so this is the way to do things outside of the render process and stuff. So it's going to synchronously render. Use effect is going to do nothing, essentially. Then sometime later, and it might be immediately after, but it might be asynchronously sometime after, and React gives you no guarantees, your use effect is going to be called. The use effect will be called, and then the cleanup function will sort of be held onto. Now, the next time it decides it needs to clean up, like for example, when the component unmounts, it'll call that. But also, the next time it's going to call use effect, which we can talk about in a second, it'll call cleanup right before calling use effect. So that second parameter is important. So this parameter decides how often that callback you pass to use effect is going to be called. It's about state syncing. So if you don't pass anything, what's going to happen is every time render gets called, use effect will be called sometime after the render. So it'll render, then use effect will be called sometime later. And then the next time it renders, the first thing it's going to do is call, it's going to call cleanup. Then it's going to, it's going to call render. Then it's going to call cleanup, and then it's going to call use effect again. So it'll always call the cleanup right before calling it again. And it's going to do that every render, or at least some time after the render. If you add an array, okay, cool. That's if you add nothing.
Yeah.
But if you add an array now,
now
we're going to list the state that we're depending on to sync with. And so we could put whatever we put in here. It's going to say like, when this changes, and it's like an equals change, when this reference or value changes, call the cleanup and recall use effect. And so that way, if you had like, let's say you were passing an ID, and then in your use effect, you were like, I'm going to go fetch the data for this ID, and then I'm going to set state with the whatever data came back asynchronously. Then that'll be called again, and it'll be like, oh, ID is still the same, so I don't need to recall that use effect. Then the ID changes because a prop changed or the user selected something. Then it's going to call cleanup, and then it's going to call the use effect again, go fetch that ID, and in the callback probably set state. Does that make sense?
I think so. All right, so is this going to be like an array of predicates then, or is it?
It's not even functions. They're just whatever the values are, and it's going to do like an equals against each of them. And the length of that array can't even change over the render.
Almost like was it like the buffer operator is going to take the last two and check if they changed? Is that?
It won't take the last two, but it'll just be like whatever we put in here. And if you put nothing, which we have right now, but it is an array, so there are dependencies, so it won't call every time. It'll call basically when it mounts for the first time, even though mounting is not really a thing anymore, but when it mounts for the first time, and then it won't call the cleanup until it unmounts. But it'll only do those two things because we have no state to change, basically. Does that make sense?
Maybe.
All right.
Do you want to tell me how to fill this out? Maybe that might help me understand.
Unfortunately, right now, this is all we want to fill it with because we don't have anything yet.
Okay.
But maybe we will. But right now, this is actually all we really want, I think. Yeah. Functional, it's quasi-functional programming, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I made the mistake the first time, like not understanding this is a function. Like I just saw
and a function that's going to be called many times. And the funny thing too is, one component, like this is the app component, so it's probably only going to be one. But you got to think like one component is the same function, like the same instance of function, but it'll be called multiple times to represent different parts of the tree, right? Because it's just a function to describe different parts. And then the weird thing is useState keeps track of that. And so it's like, well, it's almost like they redid context of the function, like in a way that you don't have to worry about, but they're like, in this context, my state is this, but in this other context, calling the exact same function, my state is now this. Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, I could see like recursive functions or recursive components here too, where one component could have another instance of itself inside of it. Wow.
Okay, so now that we've got this useEffect set up the way we want it, we can get rid of that second thing that does the exact same thing, 193 to 195.
Oh, was I kind of recreating the useEffect hook, but not as well?
Yes.
Yes.
You're magical.
I'm getting stuff.
I mean, maybe, sort of.
Maybe.
Kind of. No, not at all.
No.
Okay. So we've got this churn function, and it's doing the weighting in there, and I feel like this is the wrong thing.
Well, okay. I don't churn for some feedback or some background. Churn shouldn't be a thing. Churn is almost like right now it's a way, because we're still getting this started, to just like give us some pause so we can debug.
Absolutely. But if you think about it, churn is like an action that somebody can take. If you're thinking in terms of like, it's like an action creator kind of thing. It's like, I'm going to dispatch the churn action, even if that's not exactly how it works, into
it's functionally how it works, right?
Right.
That's kind of what a function is.
Yeah. And so this should be kind of similar to like a behavior subject or something like that. You want to be able to call this and then not worry about the effects. Like you don't want to have to wait on it. You're just like, all I'm doing is telling the outside engine, and then the state itself that we're subscribing to should tell us when to re-render. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
so if I'm wanting to loop, Adam, and so like really this needs to just kind of like always loop until the game's over. Is that the same thing? I guess it kind of is. Like
it is, but I don't think you want to do that here. You'd want to keep that loop in the battle engine. You want the battle engine to be where the loop happens. And so the battle engine will basically, excuse me, be this thing that has a state and a little state machine. And when, excuse me, when actions are sort of called on it, like when methods are called on it, then that state may change, and it may even asynchronously change, but that's where it'll all happen. And then this just says, I'm subscribing to that state. Tell me when it changes. And every now and then, and a user says you should change it now. A user says you should change it now.
Well, so the way I designed the engine was it's this black box with the one button on it, and you call next. So you press that button. It's time to go on to the next one. You press it. You press it. You press it. So you're saying I don't need to do that, or I need to not do that.
No, you can do that. Just don't do that in the component.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
So I think you should take everything away except for battleengine.current.next in that method. And if we want to replace it, we can. But I wonder if right now we could just see if it works without it, if we've done anything wrong.
Just like so?
Yeah. And even get rid of the await. Because we're not awaiting that. And this is not an async function. You can take away the async too.
Okay. I'm trusting you bad.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's see what happens. Because right now, unless you change the engine drastically from the last time I looked at it, this should actually work like it used to.
Really? Let me see.
Right? Like before you added that just checking if it's move or game over thing, this should go from intermediate state to intermediate state, right? Let's find out.
Should it? Well, where are we calling churn? We're only going. Oh,
Are you
okay.
calling it right there?
Yes. Okay. So I'm still having. I see. Okay. So I'm still in the point where I'm needing to touch it to move it from one state to the other. Let me uncomment this thing real quick. Because we'll need to. Otherwise, we might not be able to observe changes. So let me put that back in so we can at least make sure the state's changing.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one.
So I'm in select move. I'm going to churn. Okay.
Right. And now it should go to the.
Corbin, what do you want to do to me?
Oh, you're.
He said he didn't want to tackle me, so he's going to fire hammer me. Okay,
Did it all break down?
Something broke down. Let's see if we got some console errors. No.
Okay.
That's fun.
So let's look at the battle churn next function and see what could be going on.
Okay.
So we're not awaiting it there anymore, so we might have to await it somewhere else. This is my thought.
So you're talking about going into the battle engine, looking
at right there, where you are. Okay, so like the function was called. The return value is ignored. The state changed here, so it was at select move, and it said, okay, well, we're gonna await the controller choice. Now that happened, presumably.
Well, no, it didn't. The controllers, so it's kind of like it's passing off to the controller state now. So now the controller is going to go. We saw it select the move, but we didn't. When we tried to have it select a unit, something didn't work in that. I think I'd have to like put some breakpoints. I think to debug that.
Can we do that? Let's do it.
Okay. Let's go in here. We'll go into. This is all in the app. This is all top level here still. And if I'm going to come up here. All right, let me just select move choice.
Uh-oh. Look at all these text comments that I didn't read. Woohoo.
All these what?
I don't like comments in the.
I know. I've been trying to catch up, but the chat looks like they're having a good time. All right, let me just set some breakpoints here, and let me refresh.
You can do that, but don't do that.
All right, so I'm going to play, and so now we're waiting for the move ID. So we got the move ID. So now we're in select unit. I click, and now we're in state. Not next. Then. Okay, so after this point, maybe I just needed to hit churn. So now, like,
of course you needed to hit churn because we're stopping on every state change, right?
Yeah, I've got some. No, that did not.
No,
still didn't move us to the next one.
No, it didn't.
Okay.
All right.
Let's. I'm not sure what it's doing right now, but we are getting through all the way through to the controller returning. Let's go back to the engine where it gets that move. So back to our engine, and we're going to go inside the next. We'll set a breakpoint right after we should have finished awaiting for the move. Where's that?
Is it like right 105 there?
Yeah, so we'll wait for it on 106 and refresh. All right, selecting a move, Firehammer, selecting a unit, Zach, got it. All right, so we're in the move.
And
move.
Okay, sorry? And so this is a reducer or something. Basically, you're saying I've got my battle, and then I want to change this move and now make a new battle. Okay.
Yes, so it's going to have the move. The move is going to take a battle and create a new battle. Yes,
right.
That's essentially what's happening.
It's a battle and a move, and then makes a new battle.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like a reducer.
Right.
Cool.
So that's going to set the battle on our closure, and that should set the state here.
Okay, so there's.
So we shouldn't have to press churn. The state should have updated.
So now, so now the state is updating, but there's no like, well, presumably the state's updating, but now it'll just pause after this, right? Because there's nothing else that happens in this function.
Yes, but this should be a reflection of that state, and that's not changing.
So we need to tell so this is where the observability comes. The state has changed, but we need to say, hey, state, change. So we would need to call re-render either at the end of this next function. Actually, that's probably a good idea. Can you just put like re-render at the end of the next function?
I can't.
Or is that
I don't have scope to that here.
All right, because
I could pass it, but I'd prefer not to if we can. Like I don't think it should need that. That's I think that would be mixing concerns, at least with the way it's designed now. But could we do something?
Okay, so the state has changed, though.
Yes, the state should have changed. Is that something we can do with like the? It sounds like that's kind of what we would put in here. Is that? Am I missing it? Or
maybe. So where, like, what has changed there? The battle engine's state.
The battle engine's battle has changed, and the battle engine state has changed. After those two things, the controller state has changed too, but we manually called re-render after that happened. So
okay, so we need to have some sort of observability into when the battle state changes. I think is because that's what we're kind of subscribing to, right? We're saying like, tell me whenever the battle state, which in this case includes both the controller and the battle, I guess, but whenever the battle state changes, I want to know.
Yeah. It's just a random question here, Adam, but I think if I made this async again and I awaited it and then I called set app state, would that work too?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
It doesn't feel right though, because you don't want to do something. Right, yeah.
It feels very imperative.
I think we're just halfway there, right? What we've done is we've offered a way to subscribe to the controller state, but we haven't offered a way to subscribe to the battle state yet.
Okay.
So I think we just need that. And if that happens to be a combination of the two, then that's what we need to do, right? Like if you're thinking about them in terms of observables, we have essentially created an observable of controller state, but we have to still create an observable of battle state so that we know when either of these two things changes, my component state has changed.
Yeah, well, that's why I tried to make this. Like these are the three. If we break it down to like the core pieces of this, these are the three pieces of data. I guess state is kind of tied to the battle, but arguably it's not. But these are just pure data. There's no functions in these. But this is, if I had one observable, this is what I'd want it to be.
All right. So let's like maybe skip the like pretend observables and go right into observables then, right? Because what we want is an observable of app battle state. Is that what that was called?
Yeah.
I should probably just open the code on my own screen.
you can share your screen if you like.
No, I just,
you can drive me. I'm
just looking at yours.
I feel like I'm learning more from you driving me. So what line you want me to go to?
I don't know. I was just like trying to figure out the name of it. So what we want to do is we want to make an observable of app battle state, and we want that to work outside of the context of React. We just want this to be like, hey, this is an app battle state. And then what is app battle state? It is a combined. If we're talking in RxJS, which we are, right? I think we are. App component state.
Let me interrupt you real quick.
Sure.
Because I think I mentioned this to you earlier. I'd like, in some iteration of my engine, I would prefer, instead of it being a closure that's exposing methods to get stuff, I would prefer if it just exposed an observable to see, okay, this has changed, or like just the timeline. Okay, boom, something new, boom, something new, boom, something new. That seems like that could always be inside of the engine itself. Same with the controller, rather than having this get controller state. Like it could just be an observable of the controller state.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that might be too difficult to do on.
No,
I don't know if I could do that.
I believe in us. Right, we got 20 minutes. I believe in us.
So we'll say this is controller state. Finish notation. Observable of controller. I guess this is, controller state.
Why do you call it React controller state? I guess because there's an Angular app. Okay, never mind.
No, well, there is but it's not this far. So like really what I mean for this is like this is the player's controller state, as opposed to like an AI wouldn't go through these moves. They would like have a different, they would like what are all possible moves I could do and choose one of them. So it wouldn't go through the same steps. That's
okay, now that might be an interesting thought too. So this React controller state, we're going to need more than just the state, right? We're going to need all the data that goes along with that state.
Yes, but most of that data should already be there in the, well, no, you're right. I probably need to expose, because I was thinking about this. I don't know. There's points at which I wanted to say like, what move will, or what unit will Corbin use tackle on? And I didn't know that tackle was the move because it was kind of just not exposed by this. So I guess I do have to expose those things somehow too.
And I think it's fine. Like it's just about making it's an observable of all that data. And you can include, one property on that data can be state. That could be the state.
Yeah. So we'll say this is equal to state. One of those things. Is this kind of what you meant? And then
yeah, maybe.
And then potentially that makes sense. I think this was have most of what it needs. Like it needs to know, like if we're thinking about the state machine, which state is it at? That's kind of defined here. And then we'd have to know also like which move was selected. I guess this would need to be optional too, because we might not know it when we get started. Are you tracking with me? I'm sorry. I know this is complicated. This is complex.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's as complex as it sounds. Maybe, right? Like we just need to think about entities versus actions. I think what we have as data versus what we can do, and then I think we'll be okay. So if we think backwards, so we have this. Okay, we have our app thing, which is a combination of the controller observable and the engine observable.
Yes.
Do the engine and the controller observable actually affect each other though? Because like, are we going to have to? Is there a derived value we need between the two?
I don't think so, because at least the way it's working right now, the battle engine will just like await, as long as it can like await this. We should be able to just like next on whatever subject is being controlled inside the engine, right? So like we won't need observables to interop between them. I don't know.
All right. So just thinking about state then, and ignoring that for a second then.
Sure.
So then we need our. I wonder if we should do the battle first, but okay, we're already on the controller. So create React controller. What does it return? It returns an ID, units, and then a bunch of things it can do. And so I think what we need to do is, so the things that aren't things it can do, so the things that aren't methods, which right now is like unit IDs controlled, ID, and state, I guess. Is there something else?
Well, so these two things should be static the whole way through. That's kind of why I have them here. But everything else, nothing else being exposed here, I think is data. Everything else is inside the closure here.
Right. So I think maybe we need to. I think we maybe just need to expose an observable that is all those things, the state, the whatever, and probably the ID and the ID units too, so that we can just have one place to be like, give me all the data. I don't have to like take the instance of the controller and read these pieces off it. I could just subscribe and get all the data from there.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Well, I think all the data from the controller at least would just be these three things right here. Like nothing else outside of this would be something you need to know. So let's.
Sounds
we
good.
still need this. This is like the way of controlling it. This is another way of controlling it. This is a way for React to control stuff. Or I guess we're not using this one anymore, right? We're just using subscribe.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can get rid of this one
because it's like the same thing.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be different because now our subscribe method will actually like subscribe.
Yeah.
Something.
All right, but okay, inside of our controller.
So everywhere that like changes one of these three things, or one of these, not these things, units controller. Where are the things that are the state in the controller? Yeah, those things. Anything that changes those, we just need to like let's make an observable of those things, and then anything that changes those, let's like use Rx next to change it. Let's make a behavior subject that is that.
Okay, I think I'm on
You've
my
got
way
one.
to that.
You've got one. Great.
So in here, I would say state equals. Well, hang on. I don't want this. This is not a thing anymore. I want controller state. And then we would just say this is just the controller
state
dot observable. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's great.
I like that you think that's great. All right, so for these ones here, we'll just need to update these a little bit. So we'll say state is select move. We'll say, I'm completely ignoring chat here. I'm sorry, y'all, if y'all are typing to us. Let's say this was move description ID equals move ID. And then down here, we'd call it with next, but we'd say state is that. Move description ID is, I guess it's the same one. Move ID. And then target IDs. All right, with just the unit ID. All right, is it?
Okay.
It's deceptively simple.
But I don't think we need that re-render anymore, right? Now that we're gonna change how subscribe works.
Okay, so we can. Do we need any of them?
I don't think so. I think we're gonna get rid of re-render entirely.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, we are. Let's get rid of it entirely.
So let's get rid of it.
So if we get rid of that and we get rid of subscribe, I guess, because we don't need it anymore. And yeah, we don't need that anymore. And now we go into our component. And instead of calling subscribe there, we would actually say, controller current, that thing, and subscribe. Like now there's one, but we want it. So now this is where we would want to actually pass, because we know that every time this emits, it's going to actually be the state that we want. We'll have to get the state out of there, and we're still missing the other state for now. But
okay, but we could do something like, so here's my controller state, and then we could call set app component state with spread the old one.
Yeah, it's got to be oh yeah, you could do that too. What you can actually do is make that, and what we probably need to do is make that a function that you're calling in set app component state, and then it'll give you the old, whatever the current state is, and then you can spread it and return the new state. So set app component state will actually take a function, and that function will get the current state as its first argument and expect you to return the new state, like a little reducer.
Okay, so current app state.
Yeah, and that'll just prevent us from, and then spread the controller state?
I don't think
Or no, you don't need to.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I always forget that when you're just returning an object, you need to cover it in params.
And now one quick fix we need to do too is, so we're returning, so it's no longer just a function that gets called. So useEffect expects a function that it can call for cleanup, but that's going to return a subscription. So we're actually going to have to like save the subscription in a variable for a second and then return a function that calls subscription unsubscribe. Yeah. I love the way you can like just do what I tell you to. You should just be my hands all the time. You type faster than I do, and you do everything I say.
I appreciate you saying that because I'm always super subconscious about my typing.
Oh, I love it. You're so much better than I am.
One thing I was good at in basketball was actually listening to the coach.
So, if I'm not mistaken, we should be exactly at where we were before now.
Want to try it?
Well, we can try it, but we'll get stuck in the exact same place we did before, as far as I
think so. Assume. Let's see.
Or it'll just blow up and be a white screen, which was what I was totally expecting. No. Huh.
Yeah. Oh, wait, we got some. Okay. Component. Controller state. Dot.
Oh yeah, state. Dot state. Yeah.
State. Dot state. Duh. Well, naming's hard. And there's another red up here.
Well, yeah, we don't have that anymore, right? So now
no, we don't.
What was this? Create app component state. And so we're not calling that function anymore either, are we? Or are we?
We probably are somewhere, but let's try. Let's get rid of it. Yeah, we're calling it somewhere. So
right there.
Say, yeah.
So this is just our initial state. So now, well, we're going to have to handle initial state somehow, which is kind of interesting. So, in my opinion, what we should do without initial state here is
Corbin, you're too kind. I'm super subconscious about that. So
I think what we should do,
okay.
and this may be contentious, is we should leave our initial state undefined. And if our state is undefined, don't render anything or render like a loading screen or something. What do you think of that for now?
I hate it.
All right.
But
then we're going to have to, and it's fine. If you don't like it, we're going to have to expose a synchronous way to get the state out. Like a way to say like, this is the current state that I can look at right now so that we can see it initially.
Okay.
Because we took that away, I think. Or actually, we
did because we did as observable.
Yeah. So we took it away, but we could just have a property that is always updating as well.
I don't know. Let's try just taking that away for now. So we'll say there, and then all this value. Dot. Oh.
Yeah. And now that doesn't exist anymore, right? So we'll have to do the same thing for Battle Engine now, and then have the same idea, and then just create the spread here.
I think we'll want to do something like this, because this was like a factory function to make the state. So we'd want to say this would return the battle, which is battle.current.battle, .get battle rather. I think we're good. I want to refactor the engine, but I don't think we do have to at this point. Is what I'm thinking. But let's see. So controller, what does this look like again? Controller state is controller.current.controller state.value. And what else does it want?
I think it wants state.
Oh gosh. Battle engine.current.get state. All right, so it still is like this. Let's just change the. Is
it a method that you call? Like I can't remember how to get it. synchronous value out of a behavior subject.
You just do dot value. It's not a.
Oh, it is dot value. Okay.
Yeah. So that's. Is that right now?
What's the squiggle?
Oh no.
All right.
That's a squiggle.
Oh yeah. Don't put a thing there.
Silly goose. That's what my 3-year-old's been saying a lot.
All right. Let's see if we have the white screen of death now.
Let's see. Save. Swah. Yes.
Nice.
The white screen of absolutely nothing. What in the world? It's compiling though.
Is it? Is it?
I think it is. It looks like it's compiling.
Okay, so what is it not like? Let's see. What could be happening here if we're not even getting an error? We've got initial state. Maybe console log that state just to like make sure, like console log right after app component state, like 192.
192. Okay, so just like after this.
Yeah, or we can go into the debugger, I guess, whichever way you want to do it. I'm a console log man myself.
I've been getting more into the debugger recently.
Debugger's
but normally,
better in every way.
Not getting anything, dude. Still not getting anything. I wonder if I borked the browser somewhere at some point. Let me try. Yeah, I definitely borked the browser. I don't know how we did that, but
we probably gave ourselves some sort of like asynchronous infinite loop at some point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, what do we? Can we get to the same point we did before?
I don't know. Let me inspect so we can hit some of those breakpoints. If they're still there, I don't know. Maybe borking the browser. Oh, there you go. All right, so we're getting our move. And let me set a breakpoint here. Hey, that updated. So now we're waiting for that. Hey. Okay. So now let me just step through. So after I step over this, we should see this update, right?
I don't know.
Oh, we didn't.
Because setting state like that isn't going to do anything, right? Like we actually have to, something has to say, hey, the state of this changed, and this is where we need the battle now to be changed like the controller did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like mutating that state isn't going to tell anybody that something happened.
Yeah. Okay, so what time is it? Oh, we still got. I thought we were way over already. We're still, well, we're 2 minutes away. Do we want to try to go into the engine and see if we can fix that up real quick?
I got time if you got time.
Let's do it. Okay. Battle engine. Here we go. We're diving in deep.
Anyway, right, this is a really nice model regardless, right? Because you've got this battle engine as you work. You got this battle engine that you basically can say like, what is the current state? But also, okay, what is, I'm just want to subscribe, tell me whenever the state changes. And that's really good with like React, right? Because the whole point is it's kind of like observables. It's just like, I want to be able to know state has changed, and that can either happen by somebody giving me new props or my internal state changing, and then I'm going to re-render. And then that's all we're going to do here is we're going to be like, every time the state of the engine plus the state of the controllers change, I'm going to get the data that I need and render something to the screen synchronously. And that's a nice model to think about.
Yes. RPG engines are immensely fascinating to me, especially trying to do them right. So I appreciate you working through this with me. So it's kind of like what we did. I'm going to remove the getters. I wonder if I could just, these two things are completely static. Should they still go on that? And they're also, these will have the functions in them. I think everything else will just be straight data, but these things will have functions.
I guess it depends. Like, if you want to draw them to the screen, like if these move descriptions, I don't know what that means exactly, but if you want to draw them to the screen, then you probably want to put them in the data that they can subscribe to.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
We will need part of it, yeah, for like the name. So this is where like tackle would be stored.
So you
But
probably want to
here,
make sure that that's part of that observable, so that again, somebody doesn't have to be like, I subscribe to this, but I also have to take the instance of it and check on it every now and then. It'd be better to have it anytime, especially if it's going to change. Like you said, it's not going to change. Maybe you could do that. Like, there's nothing wrong with having to access that. But
yeah, well, I'm definitely exposing them already here, just through those things. So might as well.
Methods.
Yeah.
I've almost convinced myself that it's not necessary the more I think about it. Because in the end, you need the instance to subscribe to it, so you've got the data there anyway. Yeah.
All right. So this engine is going to get a lot slimmer.
But now, how are we going to? I think so. So now, I'm guessing we have to go into the engine state, and we have to say every time like any state changes, we now have to do that with the observable. You know, and it's not even observable. I guess it's a behavior subject.
Yeah. Well, ideally, I'd want to be doing something where like I scan them all together. I talked to Mike Ryan a bit about that, the way they do it in NGRX. I think I'd probably want to do that eventually. But for now, I think all I'd need to do is like, these are the different things I kind of got. And I think I would just need the one behavior subject for now. That sounds sane?
It does.
Let me not erase that because I'll need to copy and paste them in. But we'll say const battle engine state equals new behavior subject of battle engine state. Call it with this mega object instead of
mega object.
Better than a mega observable. So battle is. And I think that's okay. Then let's take move descriptions and move or descriptions. Then combat log. And then state. And it doesn't like state. What does it like about state? Battle state.
It doesn't exist.
Dedoy. Okay. And now what else do we need? Stats. And that's nothing right now. Stats. We did it. Okay, so I can kill this stuff now.
I was thinking, not to derail your thought, but I was thinking, you know what, we should go back to that other one too. And instead of like, you know how you took away as observable just so we could get at value? We should actually just put right on the controller a value that does that on the inside. So then we won't be exposing the next and error and whatever methods. We'll just expose
a synchronous way of getting the value.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that on both of these.
Yeah.
So for the controller, that needs to be the React controller, or the currently React controller. Battle engine has a battle engine state, and it will have battle engine.
You could even just do like, or that. I was thinking you could do battle engine state as like a getter, but
no, I don't. Getters confuse me, man. It's like, to me, it seems like needless abstraction to, I don't know. I might be getting too spicy with that.
Too spicy.
Too spicy. All right, so next, so I gotta take a lot of this stuff, and I gotta go to the battle. Let me put a $sign on this. Battle engine state dot value dot state. This changed to battle state. I'm sure this is like riveting Twitch content right now, refactoring new battle engines. But hey,
I think it is.
Okay, there you go.
I'm riveted and locked in. I don't know if anybody else is. I think we may literally have 0 right now, but you know, the video watchers, they are riveted.
They're riveted. The true fans, the true friends are riveted. No, I think Corbin's still around. Oh no, I only see in one eye. That's all right. We're not doing this for that. All right. So battle dot performer ID. I think that's what that was before. And this one, let's copy this. A lot of this stuff is gonna get moved out. Boom.
Corbin's still on.
Corbin's here. Hey, Corbin. Boom. Battle. Thanks for sticking around, Corbin. And here's where it's going to get interesting. So now we're going to want to say battle engine state dot next battle engine state dot value battle is that came out of that reducer, and battle state is that.
I love it.
Well, that's one. That's one on a state machine. Let's go to the next one. Copy.
And like, even as you're doing this, you can sort of see how this could probably in the future be refactored to, like you said, being more like a scan, like something that's like, oh, depending on what I've done now and what state I'm in, what should I go to next, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me actually do this. Battle engine state next rather. Battle engine state dot value, spread it, and we'll grab these two things. Colons.
Also, this will be good in the Angular app too. You know what I mean? You're basically ending up with these observables that you can like subscribe to async and throw on a template.
Well, really, the big thing I'm going to want to do to reuse this, Adam, is to put it on a server for co-op games too. So
nice.
That'll be fun. I think that'll be really fun to do if we can reuse like the same engine pieces across the two. Or descriptions. That shouldn't. Wait. I get confused. Generator. I think that's right. Okay. This needs to be battle engine state value. Okay. And state. All right. 2 nodes of the machine down.
Next turn. So the battle becomes something new, the state becomes something new, and everything else stays the same. Okay.
Yeah, some of these don't do much, but they do need to be discrete steps, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's an interesting thought too. Is like at some point you got to decide whether the UI is going to be able to send you actions, and I mean that in the sense that like you might want to do something like, okay, you know, we're going from the end of the turn to the beginning of the turn. Is there like an animation that has to happen that has to complete, and is the idea that hey, or we won, yay, or something, and I have an animation to say like and then that completes or something. Your UI might have to send actions into this too, but that's That's way down the line. Keep going.
Well, yeah. Well, I think the UI, like the only actions the UI has to send is where we're like waiting for that async thing to come back from the controllers.
Right. Like right now, all it is selecting a move and a person. Right. That's
right in the UI. Perfect. Right in the UI. Yeah.
That would be where you want to get to, is the point that it's just like the two actions that you get are select move, select target kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, the only action I think the server would get would be the thing at the end of that, like something describing one communication, one thing over the wire describing their whole choice set. So everything else.
Yeah, I wasn't even talking about like over the wire. I just mean like from component to engine.
Yeah. Yeah. Though the only difference is sometimes that engine's already there with you in the browser. Other times it's going to be over a wire, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And it shouldn't change, right? It should just be, because you're doing these async whatevers, that can just be passing a message, waiting for a response.
That's the main reason why they are async. Well, I guess they probably need to be async for some of the UI stuff too, but yeah. This will be battle engine state dot value dot that, the random number generator. Battle. Okay, so then now we just have to do battle. Next.
Probably.
Oh, I don't want to do that here yet.
No.
Is that what you were going to say?
No, it wasn't, but.
Actually, we can make this into a nice ternary now. Yeah, let's do that. And then state game over, otherwise go to ticks.
Bazinga.
Boom.
More readable already.
I don't know. I really just like doing this stuff with the behavior subject. Like I used to do this a lot. I used to like overthink it a lot. So it led me to some dark places, man. Let me tell you.
So you're worried about this then?
Sort of calling the nexts. I want to not abuse this too much. Like I want to be scanning this, but that's just I can't. I think there's going to be more flux to this over time. Like as we try to find more interesting stuff, this is going to have to change. So I don't know. Maybe that's a good reason to maybe, I don't know, to maybe do it now.
No, I think this is a good middle step. You know, converting stuff to the point where you've got observables and the UI is subscribing to those observables and then just sending actions back in, like that's half the battle. And then you can work the insides and be like, oh, well, you know, this is actually more of a, you can switch to Redux, or you can switch to something else, or you can do crazy stuff with generators and async generators, the actor model and whatnot. But the important part is that the UI doesn't have to worry about any of it. It can never change. It can just be like, all I do is I call functions when the user clicks buttons, and I display state based on the data I've got.
Yep, absolutely. Battle engine state next. Value, spread it. Please. I think Clear really trains my mind. Have you noticed that in yourself? Like I'll look for it to format my stuff to signal to me that I've done something right. It's weird feedback. But
I often will just type in one long line and then expect Prettier to clean it up for me too.
Yeah. Well, and when it doesn't, then I'm like, okay, what did I do?
Exactly. Then I start looking for red squigglies because I'm like, what's going on? Why is this? I use it all the time for figuring out like the indentation and did I close an if statement correctly and stuff. Because I'm like, that didn't format the way I thought it would. Oh, because I'm missing a closing thing.
Yeah.
I think the people on YouTube right now who are riveted, leave in the comments how riveting this is, because I think Zach's worried that it's not riveting. But watching somebody actually go through the motions of refactoring into something more interesting is actually really cool. And I find myself silently watching because I forget that I'm on camera and I should probably be talking out loud at least.
Well, thank you to everyone, to the masses that are liking the YouTube video now. An asynchronous message from me to you. All right, and then we just had like what do we call it? Get value, or do we call it?
I don't know.
Battle engine states. Okay.
Battle engine, yeah.
Doesn't like something. There's a lot of red.
It really hates this. It's like, no.
Return next. Oh, Dedoy.
Need that as observable.
We're still going to need to do that thing if we do this, right?
Isn't that why we made get battle engine state? That's why we made get battle engine state a method, right?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, good call. All right, let's do it here too. Where do we do that? React controller. So we have our controller state. We have our get controller. Let's be back to an observable. This needs to be
that don't give that a dollar sign at the end.
Why not?
Because it's not an observable.
Oh,
no, not that one. That one.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
You're like, why?
I told someone today, like I've stopped using finish notation, and somehow between now and 2 hours back when I said that, I've become very attached to them again.
I could take it or leave it. I don't know. I see the value in it. I also sometimes I don't know.
We got some that look so similar. The dollar is very important.
It is nice.
But I think most of the time when you're doing things right, then it's you don't need it, like, because you don't usually have a synchronous version of it and an observable version of the same thing. So anyways, here
I think you just
it's complaining because we don't need it. Yeah, get controller state. Controller. What did I call it? Controller state.
Delta. Yeah. Guess not.
I don't know, man. I don't even know anymore. Oh, controller state. It's gonna be const. Would any of these be lets? What was I thinking, man?
I don't know. Some people really prefer lets to consts. They think const should signify like this is a constant, not just like
a constant read only.
Yeah. So do we need some dollar signs or something? What's going on there? No, it's good.
I got rid of the dollar signs. I've gone back to not caring about dollar signs anymore.
Okay. So, but you got to keep consistent. Now we got to go back to the battle and get rid of the dollar signs, then, right?
Nah.
Oh God, you're doing the worst.
Okay, fine. I'll put the dollar signs here. All right. It's easy when you do it this way, right? If we go to rename symbol. Yeah.
You blew my mind. I didn't even know
Boom.
I could do that.
All right, now there's all this stuff in here.
Cool. So now this becomes a lot easier, right?
I think.
Oh wait, maybe not.
This one doesn't. This one itself, maybe. Well, it just gives us one more step. So we say get battle engine state. Battle. Let's do it this way.
Noise.
Noise. There you go. Forming unit ID. And
now, just for fun,
yeah.
why don't you go up and destructure battle and move descriptions from the same call to get battle engine state?
You're brilliant, sir. Brilliant. Wait,
Or that. Or that.
Work?
I was just thinking in the constant, the way you did it, or down below.
Oh, I see.
Like on line 111.
Yeah,
const,
I don't think this would
open
work.
bracket.
What did I do? Okay, there you go. So you meant like this, right? Move descriptions. All right, that makes more sense. Yeah, I don't think that other way would have worked.
And now you can get rid of line 112.
Oh, so clean.
It's beautiful. Makes me want to shoot.
Corbin's still engaged. We still got one.
We got one. All right, what's going on at 189?
What's going on with 189?
All right.
Wait, what's going on? Okay, with this, do we still have the battle engine in our use ref? Do we still need that? I think we kind of do. Would the controller and the battle engine not be better as a prop to the battle?
I mean,
so we could pass.
Yeah, for sure. But whatever. I mean, let's leave them there.
But we
for
wouldn't
now.
ever want it. We wouldn't ever want either of these outside the context of the battle. Would we?
I don't know. You tell me, game creator.
I don't know.
All right, well, leave them at well, React. It's not React, man. Much like Corbin was getting at yesterday, at some point you can just provide a battle to like any component that needs it, or properties off that battle. But for now, I think you can just leave it here.
Okay, let's leave it here. The thing I'm still like a little bit perplexed on, Adam, coming from the Angular world, is like, where are services? It seems like so Corbin took me through the concept of like this provider, which is kind of like a service. But I'm thinking on in Angular, a lot of times I use services just to like wrap the HTTP client or something like that. Oh, you got a little one behind you.
Yeah, hey. I see you're walking around, Lily. He's waving at you.
Hey. My Claire's about her age, I think. Is that 5?
Oh, I got more kids. Sorry. What were we talking about? Services.
Services, yes. So if I just got a service that's like going to go out and make a call to the HTTP client, or I guess call fetch, I think that's what you do in React. Do you just like make a function for that, or what do you do?
What are you asking?
Okay, in Angular.
Yeah. In Angular,
you use services to like pass state around. That's right. One way you can do it. But it's also there for like just passing around like wrappers around the HTTP client, or like some of these, like a kind of a library of functionality to go around.
So yeah, I think what Corbin said is probably right there. You can make custom hooks, but I mean, custom hooks don't inflate what custom hooks are. Custom hooks are just a function wrapping around the built-in hooks. If it uses the built-in hooks, then it has to abide by the same rules of hooks, and so you preface it with the word use and call it a custom hook. But I mean, essentially, it doesn't need it, right? Like you just import the module that you're going to use. You don't need a wrapper. You don't need to instantiate it. You just call the function on it. If you do want an instance of something, you have either a choice of like exporting singletons, or if you don't want to do that, then you import it into some sort of module, and you would use probably like a provider context sort of pattern, where you'd have your provider component where it creates the instance of whatever you're going to use and then passes that down to whoever needs it, probably. So you can use that as like a poor man's dependency, not a poor man's. You can use that for dependency injection in React, the context API. But if you need, like, for example, a wrapper around fetch, you just import a wrapper around fetch. Like, you just import the module that you want to use. You don't need to, like, you don't need that instantiation because you're not class based, right? You're not creating these instances anyway. So,
okay.
If that makes sense, I hope it does.
Kind of. I'm getting
lean into the modules more than the classes, I think.
Yeah. Well, let's try to see if we can.
But to be honest, hooks is probably the answer you're looking for. Everything is a hook. Like, if you want to separate everything in React, you've got your components, which are all about display, and hooks, which are all about behavior, and everything, and that's all what you've got. And I've seen some cool things where the components are actually part of the behavior too, but for the most part, components are about display, hooks are about behavior, and you would share that across different hooks.
Gotcha.
In fact, what we should probably do after we get to a certain point, but we're already late, is refactor all this battle stuff into a custom hook so that you basically are like, use battle or whatever, and you get all the data you need, and then you just render it, separating those two things of like, this is the battle and all the calculations, and this is what I'm going to display to the screen, and those can be really separate.
Gotcha. I was trying. Where my app?
All right, let's figure out what squiggly lines is going on.
Yeah. Well, so I refactored this because we'll want the battle engine state and the controller state, and here, so we're making our controller, we're making our battle engine, same way. Now inside of battle engine.current, we'll say get battle engine state, and this will need to be battle engine state. So this will need to be controller state, controller.current. Okay. Why doesn't it like this?
I don't know. What does app component state want? It wants those things.
I think let me just rename this.
There you go.
That red. I'm trying to find the red. Do you see it?
I can't see colors.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm colorblind in a weird colorblind way, and I have trouble with that stuff all the time.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
Oh my goodness, what did you just comment out? That's huge.
This is the old controller, the one that was using window.prompt. I was going to try to do something where like one of the units used one and the other used the other. Because that should still work. But it was beginning too complicated, so I just took it all out. Anyways.
Maybe it'll get easier now.
Maybe. So now I want to do. So what I was interested in here was the battle engine state. State. Battle state, I think is what I really
battle
wanted.
State. Battle engine state, battle state.
The app component state, battle engine state, battle state.
State of the battle states.
That's
with
what
each
I
other's
wanted.
battling. This is Java all over again. We're good.
God. No. Okay. It's okay. Component state, battle engine state, battle.
United States of battle states. That was Corbin.
Oh, I don't know if there's a better way of doing this.
We can think about it later.
Yeah. I just tried to save my Chrome window with the comments.
Nice.
This is the real black hole of state is naming. Great.
We're not done. We're not done. We got to go back in now. So now we've changed battle, but we haven't like subscribed to battle, right? The battle engine.
Okay.
Okay. So now in our use effect, which is where we do subscriptions, we're going to have to subscribe to the battle. Just basically copy and paste that whole 195 to 197, I think, and change. We're going to have 2 subscriptions, and then we're going to unsubscribe from both. Or
can we just have the 2 observables. And...
Hell yeah.
Okay.
We could do that instead. Just make one observable out of it.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the best way to do that? We're using behavior subjects on both, so we could just combine latest, right?
Yeah, we could do that in the use effect, I suppose. Yeah, you might. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that.
Is that deprecated? I don't know. Okay, controller.
I think what's deprecated is not using an array there, if I'm not mistaken. So they want you to use an array now.
And we want the battle engine current state.
And Harvest says it's time to track your time.
Yeah, here, Harvest. Stop telling me what to do. That's what I have Carol for.
Mine is set to Friday or Saturday night at midnight, and I get an alert every time. And I go, right.
State. Give them an extra wrapping of parens. And this is just going to do. Well, I'll need to wrap this in an extra parens.
Oh, yeah. Parens for the win. I mean, we could have just changed the other thing to not. Yeah, whatever. It's fine. This is good.
I'm trying to.
Like you're taking an array and turning it into an object, and then we're basically going to turn it back into an object. Yeah, whatever. It's good. It's all good. Keep it. Ship it. What's going on? Did I lose you? Are you frozen or am I?
I think it's StreamYard because I still heard you through that. But it did that thing. You hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
I think we're live.
And we're up. Okay, so the stream is still on. So this has become the Adam Show. Adam Show, the Adam Show. It's here for you, and you better know. I know this Adam Show. So let's talk about what we've done. So we've refactored the controller and the battle engine to both be observable, essentially. They're not observables, but they expose observables. So now it's as easy for us to basically go.
Here. This is ZLS.
But to finish my thought, it's now easy to just subscribe to those, and then the component will update when it updates. Because now we're just going to sync the battle state and the controller state with the component state, and the component will update whenever its state needs to change. All right, let's roll. Let's do it.
What am I doing wrong here, man? I don't even know at this point. Combine latest.
I don't know, man. I don't play with computers.
Yes, you do.
What is not assignable? What does it say?
Yeah, it's just more parens.
More.
More.
When in doubt, more parens. More parens. Nice. And prettier showed us the way. Yay.
Showed us the way. All right, so now I've got my
observable. So now we've got an observable, and let's subscribe to it, and let's take the subscription off it.
So
there you go.
Guess I didn't need all that. State.subscribe.
And now this is just going to be our state now. We don't need to do that whole thing, so we can just pass set app component state as the subscribe observer.
Can we? Wait, what is going on here? I'm so confused. Okay, so you're saying I don't need to do any of this right here.
Probably not. If our two observables map to our yeah, you get what I'm saying.
I think
if our two observables map to what we're expecting in app state, do they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Controller state.
Huzzah! Huzzah!
Cool.
Bazinga! What's the problem? It says one problem.
What's the problem?
One problem. I
don't know.
What's the problem? Tab says one problem. Problems one.
Oh.
Get battle does not exist. Get battle does not exist on battle engine.
Oh.
Maybe get battle state there.
Yeah. So what is this? Oh, this is the thing. This is that thing. Use context. Okay. So
that's
what
a pretty
is
good
this?
thing.
Create context of battle engine. Okay, so this needs to be get battle state.
Get battle engine state.
That's what that wants.
Nice.
I never even look at that thing. It's interesting that you saw that.
That's how I do all my development, is make problems tab stop yelling at me.
Hey, look at that sweet churn button.
Now what's going to happen? Do we want the churn button anymore? I don't know. Maybe we do. We could get rid of it later, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess we will want to get rid of it eventually. Churn.
Select move. Waiting for controller.
Hey, Corbin's good at fire hammer.
We now have units. Select unit.
Hey.
Check for death after move. Churn, please. Churn,
Okay.
please.
This is the worst game ever. You gotta push it along the way.
Check for death after ticks. Ticks. Check for death after ticks. Check for death after ticks. Check for death after ticks. I feel like we
I'm going back
may
to
have
full health.
programmed a bug somewhere.
Yeah, I definitely did in the refactor. Oh, hello.
Hello. Hello.
Let's see. We want to go to the battle engine. We definitely did like some wrong next in there. So it was after ticks. Where's my battle engine file?
You have a lot of tabs. You are a tabs guy.
I'd like my tabs.
I am constantly doing close all, close everything else, close other.
I try to do better at that.
I fear tabs.
Yeah.
More than 4, and I get scared.
So what it was like, check for deaths after ticks. Oh, I think yeah. So this
if
one
game
went back
is not over, that should go to move something. Select
move. Yeah. Well, I was looking for it like a dummy. Come on, TypeScript, tell me what it is.
Well, I suppose we should probably end this, but I think this was great.
Dude, let me make sure it churns. Let me churn.
Oh, it'll churn. It'll churn, baby.
Churn.
You can even take out those thingies now.
Prune it out. Churn.
And now select another move. No, you're good. Yeah, check. Now pick a move. Golden, man. Burn Corbin. Burn him. Burn him good. Boom. Oh, he's got double energy for some reason.
Yeah, that's not right. You should only have one. I should have one.
Something weird happened.
Check for deaths after move.
So what I've taught you is sometimes you can spend the whole day refactoring just to add bugs to your app and not add any new features. In fact, stepping back.
Corbin's getting all the energy.
It was probably a mistake to add Adam to this podcast at all, because clearly he doesn't know what he's doing.
Let me see if that's a problem with the move it was using. So this is Zach's turn. Let's try. Now Corbin's definitely getting all the energy.
He gets all the energy.
Don't worry, he's dead now though, somehow. There it is.
Oh, he's at like negative, I thought too.
You can have all the energy you want, Corbin. I'll still come out on top.
I'm doing a thing. This is like live on YouTube. You could go to YouTube right now and find me on here.
It's true. Well, Twitch.
She doesn't care.
She doesn't care. That's all right. All right. Let's go ahead and end it here. Do you want to play the outro?
Do we ever?
All right. Thanks everyone for showing up. Tomorrow I've got a special guest. They're gonna have Diana on, so it's gonna be awesome. Hope to see you then. And until then, here's the ZLS theme. See ya.